Hey, what's up? It's your man, Greg Merriweather. Welcome to the Unmitigated Truth. Yeah, man, it took a lot to get started today. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Anyway, today, man, we're gonna talk about education. We're gonna talk about who's running this stuff, who's in charge. Um, I saw yesterday everything that happened, and so I decided to talk about it. Who's really making a decision in Indianapolis and who's being left out? We're talking about two major issues shaping our city right now. First, education, the role of organizations like the Indianapolis Public Education Corporation, and how influence, funding, and decision making are impacting our children. Second, the approval of the data center in the Martindale Brightwood community, a historically Black neighborhood that continues to be at the center of controversial development decisions. This isn't just policy, this is about power. And we're going to discuss all of that today. So sit back and relax. Let's get ready for the unmitigated truth. All right. Welcome to the Unmitigated Truth. I'm your host, Greg Merriweather. And today we're asking one simple question: who's really making decisions, the decisions for Indianapolis, and who's being left out? We're talking about two major issues shaping our city right now. First, we got education. Then we're going to talk about everything going on with the Brightwood Martindale area. So let's break it down. What is the Indianapolis Public Education Corporation? The Indianapolis Public Education Corporation is positioned as a nonprofit working to improve education outcomes across the city. But here's the real question: who do they answer to? Because when you look closely, you're starting to see connections between the charter school expansion, philanthropic funding, policy influence, and partnerships with groups like the Mind Trust. Now, let's be clear. Innovation in education is totally necessary, but innovation without accountability is a question, and that becomes the problem. And so when you're looking at this, I know that the mayor has a position. You've got a board that was just elected. You've got a lot of people that I saw, that were very, very disappointed. I saw some people from the IPS board on that board. And I'm just asking, one, I want to know what's got a lot of people in an uproar with the change, and then two, what else could we have done better as it relates to education in Indianapolis? Um, I know that IPS has been under scrutiny for a long time, and I'm just like, I'm an IPSer, and I'm like, what are we doing with it? And a lot of people stopped going to IPS schools for whatever reasons. I thought it was kind of positioned or sold to them from the perspective of it being more private than just charter. And so I thought more people were on board with it because I believe that people thought charter schools were operating as private schools. And so from that perspective, I thought it was quite easy for a lot of people to get on board with it because simply they thought that, it was probably better. So I got a quick question. So my question, hold on. Food by the word. My question is, who are the actual stakeholders? Who are the ones who benefit financially from these initiatives in Indianapolis? That's a great question. I think most people would think that it would be the Mind Trust. I think people think that. Do I know if that's necessarily true? I'm not sure if that's true, but I do know that they are the housing place for the majority of our charter schools in Indianapolis, if not all. So when I look at that, I'm like, I guess the Mind Trust would be the organization that benefited the most. I'm not sure how teachers are paid. I'm not sure how the structure, the business structure of the school works. But I do know that, I believe that they have a large hand in today's public education. So that would be my guess. If you all know otherwise, I mean, please chime in by all means, and we'll talk about it. So let's talk about power. because whether people want to admit it or not, education in Indianapolis has become a battleground. You've got traditional public schools, you've got charter networks, you got nonprofits influencing direction, and then you got political actors shaping funding. So when we look at this, we got politics, and of course, politics is involved in this. The mayor is the person who's running this. And I remember when Mayor Hawks had did his first term, and basically we asked about what was going on with him, and he basically wanted to run with education the way he wanted to run with it. Hold on. And so he wanted to run with education the way he wanted to run with it. And when we looked at this, I was like, are you pro charter? Or are you pro um, public schools? He never answered that question. The mayor never answered that question. But I mean, as we can see now, he's pro charter. And so when I look at this, I'm like, this seems like it's been his plan for 10 years, right? 10 years he's been in office, 10. He's got 2 more left. Yeah, he's got 2 more years left. So it looks like this has been his plan for the whole time. And so when I look at this, I'm like, the mayor has, I don't want to say, do you all feel duped? I'll ask you that. Do you all feel as if he's cheated us or slighted us in any way? Greetings, Campbell Soup. What's up? Anybody? Slighted? Okay. No one's answered that. Okay. So charter networks, Mind Trust, non-for-profits, Mind Trust, traditional public schools. So you've got four high schools. You've got Shortridge, you've got Attucks, you've got Washington, and you've got Tech. So my question is, what happens to those schools now that you have the Indianapolis Public School or Indianapolis Public Education Corporation? So what happens to those schools now? So now we're going to look and see, I guess the governing power is supposed to do something to change this. I don't know. But I see that there's a big thing happening in education. The other part is this. I see kids now that I think are failing more than ever. Like when I look at children, I'm like, I don't see brilliance being pushed. I don't see school being challenging. I don't see a lot of people, when you look and people don't write well, people don't read well, people don't have critical thinking skills, then my question is, what are we doing with education? Because today I'm looking and I'm just like, something's broken in our education system. And is it about money? What is it about? Is it about, when I look at Black communities, am I concerned with education or not? And it's like we play a hand in it, whether we want to believe it or not, but we truly play a hand in the education system, because it's like almost like we're being miseducated or undereducated. And there seems to be, maybe there's an avenue to revenue based on bad education. And so I'm concerned with this, because I'm just like, we have somebody said, I'll have to say, it's safe to say. Okay. So when I look at this, I'm like, I don't understand the whole thing that's going on right now, because I'm like, our children are suffering. And not only that, let's be honest. It's not just the children who are suffering, because I think that generationally we've been suffering in education. When I look right now, I realize that there's probably 3 generations of people who have been undereducated. Would that be safe to say? I think about 3 generations of people who have been undereducated. Because now when children take homework, if children do have homework, I think they do. And I need you all to chime in, but I think children still have homework. But for those who do, let's say they do. When I used to go home with homework, I used to have to really sit down and in front of my parents, and my parents were kind of involved in our homework. But now I look and the parents don't even know how to do the homework. So we got a group of parents who didn't learn anything either. And I think that there's money to be made. It's almost like everything that I look into the African or African American, African descent community, I look and I see that there's money to be made off of the bad. And I'm like, something is truly happening in our community to where there's so much money to be made just off our failure. And I don't want to point the finger at any group or entity, but I think that there's something out there that we are not looking at correctly that is saying miseducation is good. Well, then Trump talking homeschool your kids and get paid. I know a lot of people, Campbell Soup. I know a lot of people who homeschool their children, a lot of them. And they homeschool them because there's a curriculum, of course. But at the same time, I think a lot of people homeschool their children because of all the other stuff that goes on in the school. I've been into some places where I have seen where it didn't look like school. Because let's find out how many amount of children homeschooled in the US. So as of 2024, 2025, approximately 3.4 to 4 million students, roughly 6 to 7% in the United States, are homeschooled in grades K through 12. Following a significant surge during the pandemic, homeschooling rates have remained high, nearly doubling from about 3.4% in 2019 to roughly 6% in 2022 through 2023. So people are taking their kids out of traditional school and homeschooling them. What's your thought on that? What's your thought about that? When you hear that, what's your thought about people taking their kids out of school and basically homeschooling? Somebody says that they're educated. So they are educated, though. When you say they're educated, though, what does that mean? Are you saying that they're better educated? Or are you saying that they're educated by their parents? What are you saying? Because I want to know. Because if I look and all of a sudden there's more people being homeschooled, then I'm saying that there's something that's changed. And if it's doubled since COVID, there's really something to change. Is it safe to say that people don't trust the education system? Because that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like people are not trusting the education system anymore. So therefore, they're basically giving up traditional school. And is charter the way? Some would say yes. Some would say no. Some would say IPS isn't the way. Some would say public schools are failing. I think education is taking a hit itself. I think education is truly taking a humongous hit because I'm not seeing a lot of people who trust it anymore. So when we ask that, I'm like, nobody really trusts school. Nobody really trusts school anymore. And I think that when there are so many things that I believe need to take place. I believe there needs to be an accountability system. I think that you need to have people who are more like compliance officers that go and check the school to make sure that they're on a certain level. I think that you've got to get away from indoctrination and get more into education. I think that we have to find more systems and ways that understand how people learn and are able to move people in certain ways. I think you have hands-on learners, you've got visual learners, you've got auditory learners, you've got all sorts of stuff that's different with people. School has kind of become this cookie cutter thing that believes everybody can learn the same way. And that's just not true. And typically, when people are not able to learn a certain way, they are deemed special ed or something like that. And so when we look at this, it's like the non-traditional thing needs the traditional way of school, I believe, needs to change in order for real education to live. So I think that we need to figure that out. And when you've got these boards, are these boards structured just to keep things status quo, or are these people who want to see education be more innovative? Because I'm seeing a lot of status quo in education. And I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying that when it's all said and done, I think that there's a lot of status quo that's happening in education, and more people are leaving institutions, or let me not say leaving. More people are graduating from institutions of education without attaining education. And I think that that needs to be shook. That needs to be shaken up. Coach Townsend, my experience has been negative. Others can do their assignment. It lacks real structure from my experience. Explain that, please. You've got Desmond, the political otherism climate has also been used as a convenient excuse as well. Give me that. Help me unpack that, Brother Alves. Tell me the political otherism climate. What's that look like? Because I want to be able to chime in on that. Because, again, politics isn't everything. But the other part of politics is this: it's people. And if people have poor agendas, then it doesn't matter. If there's a what do I want to call it? If there's another motive or thing that is pushing people to be involved in this stuff, then it's not going to work anyway. Because I think that it can't be about money, but it's got to be about transitioning lives. And I think that I don't want to say, Malcolm X thought we were foolish for allowing certain people to educate our children. And he was like, no one would allow their enemy to educate their children. And I don't want to take that ideology but I do want to take this. I want to say that if we look and we see that there are teachers who are not involved or wanting to be involved with certain children, if we look, it's like a bad doctor. I think that this is good. If a teacher has bad intentions, it's just as bad as having a bad doctor. Think on that. If a teacher has bad intentions, it's just as bad or worse than having a bad doctor. Because all of a sudden you're impacting the future. The pronouns, hold on. So you said the political otherism climate has also been used as a convenient excuse as well. I asked, who are the political otherism? You stated the pronouns, DEI, immigrants, religion, LGBT, classism, any of the above. Okay, so let's unpack that. So the pronouns, DEI, all this kind of stuff, you think that all that stuff plays an impact on education? I'm just trying to get an understanding of what's being said and how it impacts education. So you're saying DEI, immigrants, religion, LGBT, classism, any of the above have also been used as a convenient excuse for bad education? Help me understand that. And when you say, I just wonder, could there be room for both? Both what? So give me that as well. Because I'm thinking, I'm just thinking outside the box here, y'all. I want us to really, I think we got to be, if we care about our kids so much, then I think we got to be more involved with education. Do we agree with that? Let's see this. If you can afford it, two-parent home, and one had the knowledge to teach their children, it makes sense. But again, to your point, if the parent can't help the child with homework, whether it be because of career responsibilities, single parent, or the fact you as a parent struggle in school, how could homeschooling be a good idea? Oh no, I get it. I agree. Homeschooling is not a good idea if you didn't learn nothing. That's the truth. Homeschooling is irrelevant if you've not learned a thing. True that. The other part is, if you're too busy, then homeschooling wouldn't work for your child either. So here we go, Carl. He said room for the money prints as well as one actually live teaching. Okay. So I'm going to say this. I think that I don't think education, as much as we're arguing about it, let's say this, as much as we're arguing about education, I don't think we're serious about education. I just don't. I think we got too many advocates I think we got too many people who advocate for bad education. I think some of the people that you all think are for, or I think a lot of people who are crying about education don't even care about education. I think a lot of people protest to protest. I think some people say stuff just to say stuff. Because when I think about it, if I'm really, really about education, one, I'm going to educate myself. Two, I'm going to push education to be real and not just indoctrination. I'm going to be involved from an education perspective. I'm going to always dive into the nucleus of the problem as opposed to just complaining about it. And I think that we have gotten in a place in our community where we complain about a lot of stuff, but we're complaining about stuff that we're not involved in. Is that fair? Does anybody think that's fair? I think it's fair that if we're not involved in it, why are we complaining? I will ask anybody out here, what's the last book you've read? I would ask anybody, how hard is it for you to educate yourself? How involved are you on knowing current events? How much do you read about anything? Other than just, scrolling and looking at foolishness, I would want to ask, how many people are truly continuing to educate themselves on a regular basis? I venture to say that most people have not read a book since high school. Most people stop learning altogether. And then we look and they're complaining about institutions of education. And I'm like, at some point, don't be a hypocrite. Either you're about it or you're not. And I think a lot of people aren't about it. I don't. I think a lot of people are just running their mouths. You can't be mad about IPS if you were okay with IPS failing. You should be quiet. You can't be mad about it. You can't be mad about the changes in IPS if you weren't involved in IPS at all. And I think that there are a lot of those. Because I'm watching people send their kids anywhere. How many people show up for parent-teacher conference? How many parents do that? How many do PTO? How many? How many actually check homework? How many? And we expect something without having the same expectation from ourselves. It's how I feel. I watch us and I watch us complain, and then I say, how are we complaining if we're not doing anything to make it better? Why? So I'll say this: when decisions about education are made in boardrooms instead of classrooms, you got an issue. So when we look at this, you just, there's just something broken. There's just something that's tremendously broken. And that's just, to me, the unmitigated truth. So here's the uncomfortable truth. When organizations operate with influence, but without direct accountability to voters, you create a system where decisions can be made for the community and not with the community. So all these entities, the mayor, the Mind Trust, all these organizations, all these not-for-profits need to work hand in hand with the people in the community. Let me be clear, with the people in the community who want to work with them. We don't need all these others. We don't need people just talking. We need people who are actually doing. So if you're listening right now, I want you to ask yourself, do you know who's making decisions about your child's education? And if you don't, why not? If you don't, why not? And one of the main people who should be answering this question, let's go back. If you're listening right now, I want you to ask yourself, do you know who's making decisions about your child's education? And if you can't say you, that's a problem. That's a problem because we're depending on somebody to do something that we should be involved in as well. Let's look at this. I'm defining education beyond words and numbers, but also a diversity of perspectives in an increasingly global world. We all understand the cornerstone of literacy, but yet we are banning books. Listen, books in our community are like the devil. I mean, just think, I hate to do this to the church, but I got to do it to the church. Certain entities get to thrive because people don't read. Think on that. Certain entities are allowed to thrive simply because people do not read. So when I look and I say, if I'm a pastor, if I'm a bad pastor, I don't want reading parishioners because I'm able to dupe them. If I'm the prison system, I don't want readers. I want people that can come to prison. And when you realize that 70% of the prison population is illiterate, then you understand that they go hand in hand. So when I look at all these things, do you realize that, again, I got to go backwards. Most of the money being made in the Black community right now are being made because of where we fail, not where we're successful. And they're burning and churning out people, failures, who come in and you're a number, you're a statistic, you're part of a grant writing thing. All of a sudden, people are making money off failure. Look around. Most of the things that we're involved in are failing. Wayward kids are a good check. Think on that. If I'm a person who's running an organization who deals with kids that are underperforming or kids that are failing at life, why in the heck would I want them to be educated? It kills my business. We don't even think about it like this. It kills their business. If we start looking and getting involved in the schools and doing right by the schools and doing right, and the schools do right by us and all these organizations, we should be banning a lot of stuff because they're going to make money. We really have figured it out. We have really become the people to say, there's money to be made on our failure. Don't give me no educated kids. Give me the dude that don't read. Give me the girl that don't read. And then we say it's about fun. Nobody wants to work hard at nothing. And all of a sudden, you've created this whole ecosystem of failure. You don't support the school because you can make money off of it. Simple as that. It's unfortunate, but true. It's unfortunate, but true. My experience has been negative. Others can do their assignment. It lacks real structure from my experience. From my experience, kids don't wake and prepare themselves. They roll out of bed and pretend they are doing assignments or do them and go right back to sleep. The parents take a greater responsibility to teach and show their kids responsibility. Don't want to take too much time. With my stepdaughter, it was okay. But years later, in a relationship with a single mother, the son all over the place, including, and so I agree. I agree. I get it. I think that parents have gotten lazy. And I think that, and I think life is tough. Life can be tough. But I think that when parents are now like, give these kids a break or almost have mush moments where it's like, you ain't got to do nothing with your brain. All right, just go be dumb. I think that exists. I think it truly exists. And I think it's unfortunate that it does exist because, again, people are not involved. People are not involved with their children to the degree of making sure that they're exuding excellence. And that's because the parents aren't exuding excellence. It is lost. It is becoming a lost thing in our community. And I just want us to be diligent in getting it back. What's up, Sister Sherry? Our downfall is big business. Nonprofits line the pockets with foundations feeding off of our broken communities. That is 100% true. Yes, the parents are lazy and teachers. And so when I look at this, I'm like, these two entities are not connecting. And then the bottom feeders are the organizations that are waiting on your child to fail so much that they can make $1. Think on that. All these organizations, you're taking your kid. I'm gonna say this because there's a lot of single moms out here, and shout out to the single mothers. Shout out to the single parents, period. But there are a lot of kids. Think about this. It's a lot of mothers who will get up and take their son to this place where somebody is saying, I'm going to help fix your son. And that should be happening every single day at the school. Citizenship is not in our schools. Good behavior is not in our schools. Bad behaviors are okay in our schools. Go inside these places if they'll allow you. But if you're a parent, you should be there. But go in these places. Go in these places. You will see tongue kissing, cussing, grabbing, groping, all kind of foolishness. And I'm just like blown away. Like, this is school? Fighting and disrespecting the teachers, cussing in front of adults, cussing. Then the parent come in when you try to fix the kid. Then the parent come in and want to cuss the teacher out. So I'm like, this is holistic. None of this stuff could be taken over if we were involved in it. Let's look at this. Mark Gaines, we blame too much on teachers because we put too much on the teachers. Teachers were never meant to be parents. 100%. My brother Ed, the system rewards and invests more into the problem children while ignoring the overachieving children. Listen, the F student gets more attention than the A student. It is, how can I put it? It is a mental health issue, especially in the Black community. It is a mental health issue when you give more time and energy to people who want to fail, and then give no time or energy to people who are working their butts off. We have a mental health issue. We have a mental health issue. I get to see our mental health issue every day on social media. I watch us gravitate to bad stuff. We will watch ass shaking. We will watch fights. We will watch cussing. And then I'll look at my little top of the corner up here and I'll see 18 people. 18 people who are willing to listen and challenge their minds for 1 hour. And then people, listen, there are people literally in my life who get mad at me when they get mad because I get mad at them because I was like, you can't even take an hour? But they can sit on their phone like this all day, and watch junk and don't realize you have a mental health issue. I agree with you 100%, Anthony Hampton. The system rewards and invests more into the problem children while ignoring the overachieving children. And then we wonder why. Some of this stuff wouldn't be necessary. You think about all this stuff that's taking place with IPS, a lot of it wouldn't be necessary if we were more involved. It wouldn't be. You go out here in these private schools and you go up north and you go out and you see parents involved in the school. I mean, you see parents behind the vending machine, parents doing this, parents in there cleaning up, parents just everywhere. Not in our schools. Not in our school. You know, because We don't value education. We just complain about it. And we are the number one people who complain when things change or get taken away. Things that we actually neglected. We mad that the Walker's gone. We mad that IPS is gone. We mad about this. We mad about that. But are you mad enough to be involved in it? We mad that Martin University is gone. Were you mad enough to be involved? And the answer is no. The answer is astronomically no. I guarantee you, most of those people that was out there screaming about Martin University had never put a dime into it. They took from it, but they never put back in it. Ask them how much money. They could pull the record. How much money have you donated to that school to keep it open? How involved were you in that school? Were you thinking innovative thoughts about the school? Were you looking and saying, how can we add to the school? No. You just got to a place where you knew it was about to close, and then you got busy. And it's time for us to stop being those people. Stop waiting until it's dead. Most of these people wasn't going to the damn city county building for nothing, as related to nothing about IPS. And now they're there. And now it's gone. Now it's changed, rather. And we got people mad. And I'll say this, if you're so about education, prove it. If you're about education, prove it. Get busy. For real. Get busy. It's my stance on that. So let's move on, man. We got a few more minutes. Let's move on. So we're going to talk about the Martindale Brightwood Data Center. So let's talk about it. A data center has been approved for this community. On paper, it sounds like progress. Technology, investment, infrastructure. But let's ask the real questions. Who benefits? Who was consulted? And what does the community actually get in return? This is good. Because here's what I'm going to tell you. Jay Montgomery, let's see that. I want to see this. With Martin, as a student, we weren't informed, we were blindsided. He who owns the land makes the rules. It is incumbent upon our communities to own, hold, and control the land. Data centers are part of the future. And the ones that own the land and the tools to build and maintain them are the ones that will thrive. Well, let me go back to this. Coach Townsend, you said that you all were blindsided. Explain that to me. Because I remember vividly speaking about Martin way before it closed. And John Gurton beat me up about it. And then he quit. And then shortly down the road, 6 months later, the school was closed. And I said it. I told people, now I'm not saying I said it to be like I'm bragging. I'm saying that there were warning signs. But again, if we're not over there, if we're not involved in it, if we're not giving our money, if we're not keeping up with the money, if we're not asking questions, let me say this. How do I go to a school and call it my beloved alma mater? And I never say, what's growing? This is how you know you love your children. Because you should look to say, what's improving? What's getting better? What can I add to you? Do you want to do extracurricular? Want to learn to play the piano? Want to learn a foreign language? We're supposed to invest in our children's future. They don't know any better. So if we were looking at Martin and you went there and you was about that life and you never said, hey, let me make sure. Hey, man, have we thought about intramural sports? Have we thought about putting something else in here? What's the school? What's the business school? What's this? What's that? As opposed to just being comfortable saying I graduated from Martin. Did you say, what are we doing? Or did you say, you can't be blindsided by that which you're involved in. You just can't. It's like a bad marriage. It's like if you really about your spouse, you knew when they was cheating before they cheated. Or you knew they was cheating, you knew they were cheating before you found out, or you knew totally before you knew who the person was. You can tell, you knew they was coming home differently. You knew that they smelled differently. You knew they was acting differently. You know that they was missing more dates. You know they were showing less affection. All these symptoms. And then you say we was blindsided. Oh, okay. You and I just started communicating, then 2 months later it was closed. Understood. 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 Mark Gaines said something that I believe as well. You spend your money on things you love. I agree. I agree. And I think we just neglect so much stuff that we don't even realize it. So let's keep it moving. But who benefits? Well, technically, the company that owns the what is it called? Who let's find out the data center. I think it's something blocks. Mega blocks or something like that. Let's see. Data center. Martindale Brightwood. Because there we go. So the Indianapolis Metropolitan Development Commission approved a controversial 500 million 14-acre data center project by Los Angeles-based startup Metro Blocks in the Martindale Brightwood neighborhood on April 1st, 2026, located at 2505 North Sherman. The facility will replace a former drive-in theater. The site location is situated 2505 North Sherman Drive, currently used for truck trailer parking and featuring, in part, contaminated land requiring remediation. The vote was the commission approved the rezoning and variances with a 6-2 vote despite community concerns. The community impact opponents included some residents and local clergy expressing concerns about the project's proximity to a library, grocery store, and residential homes, as well as potential noise, energy usage, and lack of jobs created. Support proponents view the project as significant economic development for a long idle site. And then the zoning issues. The approval highlights the lack of specific city zoning for data centers, leading to concern about future projects in residential areas. The project will proceed on the 14-acre lot near the corner of 25th Street and Sherman Drive. So when I look at this, I'm like, we already know that Metro Blocks is going to make some bread. We already know that. Here's the other part. Here's the hypocritical part. We couldn't do what I'm doing right now without them. You know, we couldn't do this. You can't do what all the good brain mess that y'all like to scroll on all day. That's data center stuff. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, all right, are we sure? We just don't want it in our neighborhoods. I did a show some time ago where I talked about data centers. I said there was over 30 something data centers in Indianapolis. And then I realized that Meta is building a humongous data center out in Lebanon. And I'm like, hmm. And so I remember making a phone call and I told somebody, I said, you all need to negotiate something, because here's what's real, coach. If they really was like, all right, let's do something, you could have saved Martin University. You could have easily saved Martin University. You could have saved Martin University by asking Metro Blocks to save it. What would it hurt? What were the demands? I talked to a senator and we were talking about some of these places that have accepted data centers and then talked and negotiated the electric, the power bill, negotiate the water, then negotiated telling them to put money back into their community. I think some community, I think he told me, was getting $7 million a year pushed back into their community, like $7 million investment. And again, this goes back to good old IPS. If you got uneducated people yelling and screaming in front of you about data centers and telling y'all don't want it, then you get what you get and don't have a fit. If you all partner with people who know business and said, well, let's go talk to Metro Blocks. Let's really have a conversation. Let's not just yell at them. Because here's what I'm going to tell you. The show must go on. And when it's all said and done, if you're not in the room, then the show goes on without you. And then you have to deal with what you get, as opposed to have a voice in what you get. Because you could, Martindale Brightwood could have been a place where streets was getting paved every week or every year. I mean, every year after snow, because you could have had Metro Block say, we'll take that challenge. We'll invest back into that. Y'all can, yeah, we'll invest into the infrastructure of Martindale Brightwood. What else y'all want? Well, it's a bus stop over there that don't have a covering, you know, so we can't, we stand out and it starts raining. We want that. Say less. We want Martin University to have a gymnasium that actually can host intramural sports. And we behind in debt. We in debt. We behind on the bills at Martin. Can you catch that up to make sure the schools stay open? Say less. But instead, you said, we don't want it. Instead of saying, what can we get because we already know it's coming? Who listens to us? That's that I'm asking. Who listens to us? This wasn't a situation like a Target where you could just boycott with your dollar. This is a piece of land that had been dormant for 40 years. And all of a sudden, somebody comes and says, I'm going to take this contaminated piece of land that's been in your community, that's contaminating the water, that's contaminating the air and all this stuff, and I'm going to put a data center here. No, it ain't going to be no lot of jobs when it's open, but it's going to be a lot of jobs when we start building it. What do y'all want? And for the life of me, we never invite, you know, I'm going to say this. The activist advocate game is so trash because people like the camera so much that they won't call the help of people who can actually do it better than them. I mean that. When y'all look around and realize just the mediocre stuff that happens in this city, and then you wonder why we remain in the same situation. It's a lot of people that say a lot of stuff. And I said this to Cameron Riddle. Do we ever ask for credentials? Do we ever ask what's your real expertise? Do we ask, Negro, have you ever had a job? We don't. And again, then we shun the people who have the skills. Because in this activist world, simply because anyone can do it, we just choose anybody. And then are we okay with the results? The answer is no. And if our egos are so big that we don't start getting the cream of the crop to stand for us, we will continue being left in the cold. Just saying. This data center thing was going to happen. And instead of us being able to sit, I remember I reached out to some people. I reached out to one person in particular, and I told them, I said, get up off of that. Get up off that protest. It's going to happen. And you need to figure out how to get in there and negotiate for your community. And I believe that there were some things put in play. I believe that Ron Gibson did it. And I'm sure, I won't say that. I'm speculating that Ron may benefit from it. And I think right now, he looks like the bad guy. But if he did anything, let me say this, and this is not defending him, but if he did anything in a negotiating room to help that community and make it better in any way than what it was, y'all owe that man an apology. I'm going to say that. If you look and see that something good was developed behind the scenes for Martindale Brightwood and it got Ron's name on it, y'all better say it, because it was going to happen anyway. It was going to happen anyway. Nobody is going to listen to you cry about land that you let sit for 40 years and get contaminated and then think you got a voice to say, we don't want something on our nasty land. Nobody's listening to you. Nobody doing business is listening to you speak about dormant, contaminated land that sat for 40 years. Nobody. You didn't walk up with a comprehensive plan. You didn't walk up and say, well, here's our plan for the acres. Here's our money to buy it. You didn't do that. You couldn't even compete. All you had was a complaint. What does that mean? I am complaining, but I'm not competing. I shouldn't even have went down to the city county building, if you ask me. Be mad at me, because I'm mad at y'all. I'm mad at y'all for showing up at that city county building with nothing. You didn't bring $1. You didn't bring a plan. You brought a complaint and a hard no to somebody that's got billions of dollars and think somebody's going to actually listen to you. Bad leadership. Bad leadership. I show up at a table with somebody with billions of dollars who said this land is dormant for 40 years. And then they're complaining that I'm about to buy it. Well, do they got any money? No. Do they have a plan? No. Well, hell, man, don't worry about it. When we get to that, we'll worry about that. You're going to get it. You got the money. You got a plan. You're going to get that land. Don't worry about it. That's how that went. Anybody think it went any different? Go on and say it. Go on and say it. If you think it went any different than that, go on and say it. I want to hear your thought. Real. Buffy Clark. When people are drawn to negative content on social media instead of positive, it shapes what they think, how they feel, and how they respond to the world. I agree 100%. Coach Townsend, okay, you touched my feelings. When I showed up, I posted my picture. Almost every class to encourage the over 50, it's not too late to excel. I went through 3 heart surgeries and came back to school and continued to encourage. Why didn't you comment that I was thriving in the dead end alley, but not fun? Listen, brother, you know it's all love. I'm glad you on here. I just wanted those people at Martin University to be honest about it. I didn't like seeing that it turned into a party zone. I didn't like knowing that the books were bad. I didn't like knowing that they had a bunch of people who were there to benefit from the school, from the monies of the school, but didn't go get better teachers, didn't go get people to invest, didn't create an endowment, didn't do any of those things. It was like, in my opinion, Dr. Huddleston was greedy and selfish. That's my perspective. And then he made Martin a place where people who wanted to make a quick buck, a quick 100,000, could come in there and make that money, knowing that, hey, at one point, this is going to dry up. That's what I think. I think that he was like, at some point, y'all, this is going to dry up. And before it dries up, I'm going to quit. And the board and all of us is going to run up out of here. And y'all ain't going to find us. Y'all just going to be left complaining because we made our money and then we knew it was going to get shut off. And when it got, before it ended, we left it. And that was that. I'm telling you 100% that's how it went. Because by the time he left, the school was closed shortly after it. Girton left first. You had Sister Savage was there. She left. Girton left. Huddleston left. Then you had another brother who came in to be the CFO, and he was like, I'm out as soon as he saw the books. And then he got out of there. When once Huddleston left, the school was closed. And the board said, you got all your stuff? Abort mission. Let's go. Get up out of here. And that's what they did. So I'm telling you, we got to be better stewards. This whole episode, let's say you right, all those small businesses around Brightwood had opportunity to rebuild in that area, but settle for those low rate buildings. Agreed. Those that are complaining now have a chance to get involved in an opportunity zone fund and benefit from the financial gains over the next 10 plus years. Time to make moves is right now. Agreed. So when I say this whole episode, truly, I wasn't going to do a show today. This whole episode is about why are we just complaining as opposed to getting involved? Why is it that we're waiting for things to die instead of trying to make it live? Why do we always have to get to the funeral to care about something? Tired of damn balloon releases. Sheesh, I almost cussed. Tired of it. Tired of us being good at celebrating death. And then we don't want nothing until somebody else is. That is the worst. I can't stand when kids do it. My daddy he hated it too. When people see somebody about to get something, then they want it. Nothing worse than a man or a woman who doesn't want you until someone else wants you. We got that bad in our community. We didn't want the damn walker. We was too busy trying to get up here to the Vogue. And then you got the walker now. We don't even have the walker building no more. You wasn't going over there no way. The whole building had to be restructured in the inside. Wasn't doing nothing with that building. All we do is wait till it's dead, and then somebody come and pick it up and clean it up, and then we say it's ours. Somebody, boy, y'all better be happy that they can't say because if it was me and had the money to do it, I'd be like, N-word, get out of my face with that. For real. You didn't want it. Now I got it. So I wasted your time going down to the city county building. And don't be mad at Ron Gibson. Don't be mad at him. Don't be mad at him. Because if you can't be mad at yourself first, don't be mad at nobody else. Because Ron Gibson, first of all, hasn't been the counselor over there for a long time. He ain't been the counselor for 40 years. Let's keep that in perspective. He has not been the Martindale Brightwood City County Counselor for 40 years. He has not. There has not been that has not existed. And if you had 40 damn years to buy the land, shut up. If you didn't get your pockets ready to buy the land, shut up. You didn't go down there with a plan before anybody else, shut up. You came late. You came late. And all you came with is with a complaint. I say it, I mean it, that's that. So here's what I'm going to say. Next week, I'm not going to be on tomorrow. I'll be on next week. Okay? I did think I was going to have the lieutenant governor on next week, but I'm going to have him on the third week of April. Next week, I've already got Ronnie Ford lined up. She's running for office. She's a Republican. So I'm just going to say this. This platform is not just for Democrats. This platform is for independents. This platform is for libertarians. This platform is for anybody who wants to have anything to do with the community. And it's not just about politics. It's about policy. It's about community. It's about the parks. It's about everything, how we act, how we move, how we help. It's about the church. It's about the people that don't go to, it's about everything. So this avenue is open. And when you come here, it's about the truth and being able to deal with it every single day. So with that being said, know this. I love y'all tremendously. And sometimes I just got to have these hard conversations because a lot of people ain't willing to do that. But I'm willing to do it. That's why I created the Unmitigated Truth. This has been y'all's brother. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you share the video. Anything you can do to support this broadcast would be a great asset to us. We don't want to just always be doing it here. We need to be able to build brick and mortar. We need to be able to expand this. We need to be able to put this on radio stations, the whole nine. We are trying to build the Unmitigated Truth out in a way that only we could imagine it being. So we need it to be great. So know I love y'all. It's 317 all day. Y'all have a great one. Peace.